Hey, Katie. News story. Piper and Cam. Although we don't know Cam's name until a little bit further into it. So for right now, he's referred to as Hot Guy, the new hot guy in town. Piper is turning 30, and her friends thought it would be fun to take her to the bar and get her drunk, but she doesn't like that. You know what she likes instead, though? She likes writing in her journal and making lists in like a bullet journal type way. She brings that to her birthday party at the bar, kind of ignores her friends. Her friend, I don't remember her name. Hannah? No. Jenna's like, Piper, you need to have fun because you're turning 30 or you are 30. You need to have some fun. And she's a really bad wingman. The new hot guy in town comes in and sits next to them at the bar. And Jenna's like, this girl, it's her 30th birthday and she likes to make lists in her journal. One of her lists is a naughty list that she hides from everybody. It's a secret bucket list. So the new Hawkeye is very mysterious, not army, military. I think, of course. I mean, he's like the ultimate military guy. He's been in the Coast Guard and the reserves, and he's been trained to do some other type of special ops combat. I mean, he does it all, of course. They lock eyes. New hot guy is very careful to show any emotion because that's what he's been trained to do. And Piper is totally, she says she's not attracted to him. Inside of her, she's like, her eyes are saying one thing. She's saying, I'm not attracted to you. She's saying that to him because she doesn't believe that anybody deserves her. The last relationship she had was with this other guy that was at her birthday party at the bar, and they broke up because he wanted to take things further and get more serious with her, but she wouldn't let him, and so they broke up. And she totally just destroyed that relationship because of just her self-confidence. But there's a reason for her low self-confidence and her issues with men. She has a tragic history with her parents. Her parents died when her and her siblings were young, and she's the oldest. She ended up raising her two younger siblings. There's like a couple year difference between her and her next sibling. I think it's the brother. And then there's like an 8-year difference between those two siblings. So she like gave up all of her 20s to raise, and like her teenage years to raise her siblings. So back to the birthday party. So she makes the eye contact with the hot new guy. They kind of have some witty banter, but they're both like, no. During this night, they live in California, somewhere in California, in the middle of nowhere, like this tiny little town. And I don't even know if it's a real town. There's a giant storm, like a huge storm that night. And everyone at the bar has to leave early because of this storm. It cuts all the power to the town. The hot new guy grabs Piper's hand and like takes her to her car and is like, I can follow you home to make sure that you're safe. And she's thinking like, no, red flag, red alert. I do not welcome stalkers to stalk me home. And he's like, oh, okay, fine, I'll back off. But when she gets home, it's all like this giant mess, all of this rain, all of this wind, and all of this thunder. She lives in this old Victorian house somewhere on a lake. She's got like an acre of land around her. She's an EMT for work. What she would really love to do is go to school to become a physician's assistant. So because she's an EMT and she's in the medical field, okay, of course, she has her own patient, which is her next door neighbor, that she kind of practices on being a physician's assistant too. And so she's like, well, I mean, there's this giant storm out, and her neighbor that she checks on him almost every day to make sure that his diabetes is okay, that he's following the guidelines that she listed for him. And she's like, well, there's this storm, but I gotta go check on him. Emmett is his name. He's this older gentleman. Guess what she finds out when she goes to Emmett's house? Emmett's son is the new hot guy. That apparently he's visited before, only a few times before, and Piper never met him and never knew that he existed. But there's also a reason for that, because Emmett and his wife split up a long time ago, and they ended up living on opposite ends of the country, and there were two brothers, and each son went with each parent. And so that's why new hot guy went with the mom, and his younger brother went with the dad. So Piper only knew the younger brother, which recently got killed in a car accident. More on that later. So she goes to Emmett's house, finds out the new hot guy's name is Camden, but he goes by Cam. Cam doesn't know his dad has diabetes and has health issues. And he's like, I didn't want to worry you. And he's like, Dad, that's my job. I need to know these things so that I know how to take care of you. And he was kind of mad at his dad a little bit about that. So Piper checked on him and he was okay. He wasn't following the rules and the guidelines, the lists of stuff that she said, you need to do this because you have diabetes. That's okay because you can always try again. Piper's like, well, I'm going to go back to my house. At this point, the storm had gotten so bad that this little creek in between their houses had turned into a river. And Cam's like, after she left, I'm going to go follow her to make sure she gets home okay. And good thing he did follow her this time because her cat got out of the house and got stuck up in the tree. Of course, he has to rescue her cat. Well, it's not her cat, it's her younger sister's cat that she kind of hates but kind of loves at the same time. So he rescues the cat out of the tree, but in so doing, the cat scratches him up so bad. Piper's like, you know what, just come into my house. I'll fix you up. I'll bandage you. I'll take care of you. He's like, no, don't worry about it. And she's like, no, come. And by this time, Cam finds out that Piper is afraid of storms, like really big storms, because it reminds her of bombs going off. Oh yeah, her parents were in the military or something to do. Maybe they were like medics in the military. They had a connection with the military, with both of them. So this thunder and lightning reminds her of dangerous places that her family would live while they were growing up. And I don't know why the military would have families live in such, I mean, I guess this happens now. Why would they have families live in such dangerous areas? She said that they were living in the Congo at the time when this giant war broke out or something. And these are her bad, like her PSD memories of bombs going off. And then her parents sent the siblings back home to the States and the parents were going to follow the kids, but it got so bad within the next couple of days after the kids left that the parents died in the fighting. So she's got PTSD. And he's like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, whatever. Still putting him off. Oh, that's right. So she fixes up his wounds. Apparently, I mean, I've had cat scratches before. This cat like really messed him up, like all over his chest and his arms and this giant gash in his leg. Like, I mean, cat claws can only go so deep. Of course, he has to take his shirt off so that she could tend to his chest wounds. They're starting to get more attracted to each other at this point. But she denies him yet again. So she goes to bed, and it's late at night, and he's sleeping on the couch, still shirtless. Well, more lightning comes, and she gets really scared. So scared, she comes running down the hallway toward him and just lays on top of him and like buries herself into him. And it was like really just out of the blue. He didn't know what to do, but started holding her. And then, of course, it turned out into a makeout session. They made out for a little bit, but they didn't have sex. They just fell asleep that way. Like their kisses were so passionate, so warm. They were really tired from the day, and then they just passed out on the couch. And then woke up to her siblings coming into the house, and she didn't know that her siblings were coming to visit her. They were saying to come visit her for her birthday, but they both have ulterior motives. I think something else is going on. Something shady is going on with the sister, the youngest sister, and something weird is going on with the brother, because Cam, is already acquainted with the youngest sister, and I can't remember her name. What's her name? It was a dumb name, like Winnie. Like Winnie the Pooh, spelled just like Winnie the Pooh, the youngest sister of Winnie. She was best friends with Cam's brother, the one that died. Something shady's going on there. But Cam and Piper are getting closer. They're getting closer together and realizing their attraction to each other. But Piper is still just thinking in terms of this is temporary because he's just coming for a visit, which means he's eventually going to go away back to where he came from. I think he was living on the East Coast and she's on the West Coast. So she's still thinking this is temporary. Little does she know, these stories don't end that way. Stay tuned for part 2 when I get a little further in the story.